Hello, my friends. Today we are going to talk about something that almost every language learner experiences at some point. We are going to talk about language anxiety. Language anxiety is the nervous feeling that people experience when they use a new language. Maybe you know this feeling very well. You want to speak English. You know some vocabulary. You understand grammar. But when the moment comes to speak, something strange happens. Your heart starts beating faster. Your mind suddenly becomes blank. You start thinking things like, maybe my English is not good enough. Maybe I will make a mistake. Maybe people will judge me. This experience is extremely common. In fact, researchers who study language learning have found that many students feel anxious when they speak a foreign language. One famous researcher is Elaine Horwitz. She studied foreign language classrooms and discovered that language anxiety is one of the most common emotional challenges for learners. But here's the important thing to remember. Language anxiety is not a permanent problem. It goes away. It is temporary. It is something that we can understand, manage, and even reduce. Today, I will share 3 practical ideas that can help you feel calmer and more confident when you use English. These strategies are simple, practical, and you can start using them immediately. Let's begin. All right. The first idea is very interesting. It comes from research in psychology. Most people believe anxiety is always a negative feeling. They think anxiety means I am not ready or I will fail. But scientists have discovered something surprising. The physical feeling of anxiety and the feeling of excitement are almost the same. When you feel anxious, your heart beats faster. Your brain becomes alert. Your body prepares for action. When people change the way they interpret these feelings, their performance improves. So instead of saying, I'm nervous, they say, I'm excited. This small and easy change can have a big effect. You are simply changing the meaning you give to a feeling. Now let's imagine a situation. Tom is about to speak English in a meeting. He feels nervous. His heart is beating fast. His hands feel a little cold. His first thought might be, oh no, I'm nervous. But instead, Tom tries something different. He tells himself, I'm excited to speak English today. Now the same physical energy has a different meaning. Instead of feeling like danger, it feels like opportunity. The brain becomes more positive. The anxiety becomes useful energy. You can try this yourself. Before speaking English, pause for a moment and say quietly, I am excited to use English. Even if you still feel nervous, this small mental shift helps your brain see the situation differently. Instead of fear, you begin to feel curiosity. Okay, here is the second strategy. Use confidence phrases. This strategy comes from research in formulaic language, language that is like formula, chunks, ready-made expressions, ready-made phrases. They have many different names. Linguists who study how people speak fluently have discovered that fluent speakers often use chunks. They use ready-made phrases. They use formulaic language. So instead of creating every sentence from zero, fluent speakers use many phrases that already exist in their memory. For example, "That's a good question. Let me think for a moment. What do you mean exactly? That makes sense." You see, these expressions are very useful because they give the brain time to think. Many learners feel anxious because they believe they must immediately produce a perfect sentence. But conversation does not work that way. Even native speakers often use short phrases while they are thinking. For example, "Let me think. Well, you know." These small expressions help the speaker organize their ideas. They also make the conversation feel natural. When you already know useful phrases, your brain does not have to build every sentence from the beginning. You already have tools ready. For example, imagine someone asks you a difficult question in English. Instead of feeling stressed, you can say, "That's a good question. Let me think about that for a moment." Now you have a few seconds to organize your answer. The conversation continues smoothly. You have used two chunks. First, "That's a good question." Second, "Let me think about that for a moment." These expressions help you start speaking without feeling lost. You can build a small collection of these expressions. You can call it your confidence phrase bank. Okay, now we move to the third idea, which is very simple but extremely powerful. Many language learners try to speak too fast. They believe that speaking quickly means speaking well. But this belief actually increases anxiety. When you try to speak very quickly, your brain must do many things at the same time. It must choose vocabulary. It must organize grammar. It must control pronunciation. All of this happens in a very short time. This creates pressure, and pressure increases anxiety. But research in psychology shows that language production takes time. Even native speakers pause regularly during conversation. Think about natural conversation in your own language. People often say things like, well, let me think. I guess, from my experience, oh, that's interesting. These pauses are normal. They are part of natural speech. Pauses give the brain time to organize ideas. They make speech clearer and more thoughtful. So instead of trying to speak quickly, you can practice intentional slowing down. Here's a very simple technique. It is called the 2-second pause rule. Before answering a question, pause for 2 seconds. Just breathe. Then begin speaking. These 2 seconds give your brain time to prepare the sentence. Your words will come more naturally. Your pronunciation will be clearer. And interestingly, the listener will usually think you sound thoughtful and confident. Speaking slowly also helps listeners understand you better. Clear communication is always more important than speed. So remember this idea. fluent speech is not fast speech. Fluent speech is clear, relaxed, and natural speech. All right, so language anxiety is something that almost every learner experiences. But it does not mean you are bad at languages. It simply means your brain cares about communication. But the good news is that anxiety can be managed. And today we talked about 3 strategies that can help. First, you can change the meaning of anxiety. Instead of seeing nervous energy as danger, you can see it as excitement. Second, you can build a confidence phrase bank. These ready-made expressions help you begin speaking more easily. And third, you can slow down your speech. When you give your brain time to think, communication becomes easier. So, the next time you feel nervous about speaking English, take a deep breath. Remind yourself that mistakes are normal. Use a simple phrase to begin and speak slowly. Little by little, your confidence will grow. Until next time, keep learning, keep practicing, and keep believing in yourself. Bye for now.